Okay, so here we are. Welcome this beautiful spring-like day. Let's not get carried away, right? It's not actually spring, just spring-like, just enough to tease us to think, oh look, spring's coming, and then we'll be back to wintry in a few.
26 degrees on Thursday.
Excellent. So since we've got some people coming back who haven't been for a while, and people online who I can't see, just remember to take things easy. No one needs to be a hero. We don't need to make big sweeping movements and big twists and stuff. Just keep the movement small so you feel comfortable, but try to get a little bit of movement in because it will get the blood flowing and the oxygen moving and it'll get our muscles warmed up. So, do what feels good. Ooh. Oh, they're the ones you got last week. I was going to wear mine, and then I thought I should wear my Irish ones instead. Very nice. Okay. So let's start by reminding everyone. Has everyone got water that needs water? Yes. Water. Do you need water? Excellent. So sitting up nice and tall, so right on top of those sits bones. And then from there, begin to draw the belly in and lengthen through the spine. So it might help to bring your hand to the top of your head and actually push up and get a little bit taller. And then tuck the chin just a little bit so you're pulling it back in. And then release the hand and relax. So the ribs are in, we're really tall and the shoulders are relaxed. So that probably feels like a bit of work. So we'll ease that by letting ourselves rest against the back of the chair. Yes. And let's drop the chin and close the eyes if you're comfortable with them closed. Let's bring the hands to the belly. And just take a few moments to settle ourselves here in the room. So not worrying about things we were doing before we got here and things we need to do when we leave. And just try to focus on being here for yourself. And let's think about expanding that rib cage towards the front and back. So without forcing it, like just paying attention to how it feels, letting the belly expand, and thinking about those back ribs expanding towards the chair as you breathe in, and then everything relaxes as you breathe out. So take a few breaths like that, focusing on that front and back motion. It doesn't have to be a really big, deep breath. But we'll try to make it even and smooth. So if you need to take short breaths, just make the inhale and the exhale about the same length, if you can. Let's do 2 more breaths in this direction. And then we'll slide the hands to the sides of the ribs. Anywhere on the rib will do, just so you've got a little bit of contact there. And I want you to think about breathing into those hands so you're pushing your ribs a little bit out to the side. So again, not forcing it, just noticing that movement of your ribs. So we're just trying to get the diaphragm to move around a little bit. And we'll take 3 more breaths like that into the side ribs. And then we'll bring one hand towards the collarbone and one hand lower down on your belly towards the pubic bone. And this time as you breathe in, imagine you can get taller, so you could breathe length into the spaces between your vertebrae. And then relax. Now, obviously you can't breathe into your spine, but let's imagine we can get taller as we breathe in. And then relax as we breathe out. We'll do 3 more breaths like that. And then we'll bring the hands back down. Let's make a little circle or a diamond around your belly button. And we'll think about all those directions. So front and back, side to side, and that length. Breathing in, expanding in all those directions. And then relaxing. So again, it doesn't have to be a really big breath. We're thinking more directionally than volume. And one more breath like that. Then let your hands come back to your thighs and don't think about how you're breathing. Just let everything come back to its normal pattern and rhythm. And let's begin to move with our breath. So next time you breathe in, let's lift the chin. Nose is pointing to where the ceiling and the wall meet. And as you exhale, lower the chin, let the back of the neck lengthen. So take your time and that gets that nice stretch down the upper back. Breathing into lift. And then lower. Are you keeping your shoes on, Brian? Deliberately? Okay. And then lower. And we'll all meet up back in the center. And let's turn the head. So we're keeping everything else still. And we're just slowly turning the head towards the right. And just notice how far you can go before you feel that little bit of tension. And then come back to the center. And then turn it slowly to the left. And notice if you have a better range of motion to one side than the other. So we'll do that slowly and smoothly from side to side. And we'll do one more to each side. And then come back to the center. Let's drop that right ear towards the shoulder. So it doesn't have to come very far. Just let it pause there. And then we'll lower that left arm. And let's take the right hand to the outside of the head. And instead of pushing the head down, I want you to think of the head pushing up a little bit into the hand. So this is like 10% effort, right? It's not like pushing it up, just a little bit of lift, lifting up a little bit. And you can just leave your hand out of this entirely. And keep breathing. And let's release the hand, bring them back to the thighs, bring the head down to the center, and make a couple of little semicircles down and up. And then we'll come back to the center. Let's try the other side. So left ear drops a little bit towards that left shoulder. Take a breath or two here. Don't anticipate it. So the reason I say that is because it feels different, right? So notice the stretch first. Then let the arm drop and see if that changes how you feel it. And then we'll all catch up with Kathleen and bring that out of the head because she just couldn't wait. So remember, we're not pushing. You can have that little bit of tension and let the weight of the head come down. But if you push up into the hand, a little bit more active. Keep breathing. So remember, we're holding the pose, not the breath. And then we'll release the hands back to the thigh, bring the head down to the center, make a couple of little semicircles down and up, and down and up, and then we'll go up and down. Well, let's just make circles. It's easier. And then a couple of circles the other way. And then we'll pause in the center and just take that little inventory of how everything feels right now. So if you're like me, you probably felt it was stiffer on one side than the other. And maybe we should go back and stretch that side again. We can do that later. And let's check in with our posture. So although we're resting the back against the chair, have we taken that as an invitation to completely slump down, and now we just need a remote to help us. So let's try and keep that long lower back. And then we'll open the eyes if they're closed. Let's move the shoulders a little bit. Let's bring the hands to the shoulders. So if this bothers you, you can keep your hands down and do this, or you can choose whatever way you like. So bringing the elbows forward and then up and around. So we're just moving those shoulders. So if you want to keep your arms down, yeah, just do it like that. Ooh. And maybe try it both ways and see which one you feel you get a better movement with. Let's do one more in that direction and then we'll switch. Back and then forward. Oh, just without your arms up. Yeah. Yeah. But then we're making our circle the opposite way as well. It's fine. Sometimes when I say we'll do 3 more of something, I suddenly think, I don't know how many I've done. Like, have we already done 2? So don't worry about it. And then let those shoulders just hang nice and heavy. So our brains can take a little pause too, right? We don't want to, let's just keep it easy. Let's move our spine. So let's bring the hands to the thighs. We will come to the hands in a minute, don't worry. Think of a string on your chest, lifting it up. As it lifts up, those shoulders can come back a little bit. The ribs are coming forward a little bit. Then come through the center, drop the chin round the upper back. So we're just keeping it small for now, like half of a cat-cow. Lifting the chin and the chest, just draw the shoulder blades, the smallest piece together, and then folding down. And then we'll begin to make it a little bit bigger. So lifting the chin and the chest, you can tilt that pelvis a little bit forward, a little bit more of an extension. And as you exhale, tuck the chin under, you can round the spine, maybe bring your hands a little bit forward. If it's okay for you to take that forward fold. Let's do 2 more like that. Lift the chin and the chest, maybe bring the elbows back a little bit. And then coming through the center, rounding and folding. And then we'll do 1 more. And then fold. And when we're in that fold, let's pause there for a moment just to remind ourselves of our resting pose. So anytime you feel tired or you don't want to do what we're doing, you can pause here with your hands on your knees, or you can bring your forearms to your thighs and take a few breaths there. All of these equate to yoga, right? Whether we're moving or not. And then we'll slowly lengthen. Take some water. You gave me this. And I think you gave me these. You've been clothing me for a couple of years now. So let's move our spine the other way. So we'll just let the hands relax down by the sides. And imagine you're coming up first. You're getting taller. These water bottles are quite loud, aren't they? And then up, up and over. So not back, sideways. Up through the center. So think of everything still facing the front and a side bend. So it doesn't have to be really big. Inhale, get nice and tall first, and then up and over. And you might be able to get a little bit further each time, just like you're reaching down to take hold of something, not your water bottle, something, some soft toy. Reaching down to pick up something that's really quiet. Oh, that feels quite nice, actually. Let's do 1 more to each side. So I'm leaving the arms out of it deliberately for now because we're going to do a bit more arm stuff later and I don't want us to wear ourselves out. Good. And then we'll come back to the center. Then everything move around a little bit. So we've moved forward and back sideways. So now we'll do some little twisting. So let's come to our I Dream of Jeannie arms. Starting off by getting nice and tall. And then think of the rib cage moving. So pull that right side of the ribs around. And you might get that shoulder blade to help you a little bit. and come back through the center, breathing in. And let's take that exhale to the left. 17 minutes, you've been very good so far. Exhale. We'll have to give Kathleen a treat at the end for being a good girl. Let's do 2 more to each side. So it doesn't have to be a really big twist. We're just moving the bodies gently. And then once more. So letting the shoulders relax though, and having the torso move. So let's make sure we're actually moving the torso. We're not just moving our arms around. It's the ribs that are turning, but the shoulders are relaxed. And then back. And then let everything just hang heavy. Let's shake out the wrists. And then the elbows. And then let's make some fists. You've waited so long for this. We've missed you so much. We keep going just for you. And then make some circles at the wrist. I can't look at you, so I'll look at the chair. Nice circles. And then switch directions. And then we'll stretch them out wide and make a fist. Stretch them wide, as much space as you can between those fingers. And then a fist. 2 more times like that, stretching them and making a fist. And stretch and make a fist. Then we'll add to it. We'll stretch, make a claw and a beak and a fist. Stretch and claw. We haven't even messed it up yet. And fist. So once more like that for Brian. Stretch and claw and beak and fist. So now we'll mix it up a little bit, okay? Stretch and beak and claw and beak, fist, stretch, beak. Okay, so now we're going to just use our eyes. Are you recording that? So you can practice it at home. So yeah, right. Yeah. So let's not speak and just watch. So bad. I think this is just Brian's way of not having to do it. And then relax. So we're going to do it again for Brian. It's not getting away with that. Do you want me to take your phone? So we're just going to do a short one for Brian because I don't want you to miss out on that sensory part. Oh my God. Okay, not too bad. So now we're going to close the eyes, or you're going to close your eyes, and just listen to the sound of my voice and try to follow the instructions. So it's good because then you can't see when I mess it up. So claw, fist, claw, stretch, beak, claw, beak, claw, fist, beak, stretch, beak, claw, claw, fist, beak, fist, stretch, claw, fist, beak, claw, and relax. So I realized that I speed up a bit towards the end. Yeah. So we're just using all our senses to get where we need to be. So let's stretch out our hands. So that's one check, right? One challenge over. Right hand out. Stretch out that pinky finger. Checking in with your posture while we're doing that. And then the next finger, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And the middle finger. And as you do that, don't just stretch it. Think about where you can feel that stretch. Then the index finger up through the hand, maybe into the lower arm, and then the thumb. And then switch hands, starting with the pinky, keeping everything else relaxed. And then the ring finger. And the middle finger. And the index finger. And then thumb. And then let's just give any areas of those hands that need a little bit of attention, give them the attention. I have not missed that. So it might be your thumbs that need it. It might just be a general little feel good rub of the hands, working on those knuckles that are stiff or sore. Just wiggle those fingers. Let's take that right hand out and we'll turn the palm down and stretch out that hand. So you can try it through the fingers or through the palm and see which one you prefer. But we're trying to do that while staying upright and keeping that shoulder relaxed. And then release it, give it a little shake. We're going to keep that hand there. So let's bring both hands up. Then slide the thumb onto the wrist. So this left hand stays up and just sliding that thumb, that's it. And we're going to stretch it out. Yes. I've been thinking how to give that instruction. You switched hands, but it's fine. Just make sure you do the other hand next. And then give that little shake out. And then we'll take the left hand, turn it down, stretch out through that wrist. Yes. Not this one. You're just doing this. Don't overthink it. And then release it for a minute. Bring the hand up, take the other thumb to the wrist. So the hand, you're on the back of the hand with your fingers. Yeah. And then you're just using it to give you some support as you give that wrist a little squeeze. Yeah. And if you've already done the left hand, you can do the other hand. And then give that a little release. So let's go straight to our feet so we don't forget our feet. So let's find the feet on the floor first. And let's try and open the toes as wide as they'll go. So even if you've got your shoes on, you can still think of those toes expanding. You can get a little bit of movement there and then relax them. Open the toes as wide as they'll go. And then relax. Let's do it 2 more times. And once more. Good. And then we're going to pull the toes towards the shins. And you might feel a stretch around those shins. And then lower the toes, lift the heels. And then lower, and we'll keep lifting the toes, and then the heels. And then the toes. And then we're going to alternate. So let's lift one heel and the opposite toe. And then switch. And switch. So you can go slowly. And switch. And switch. Good. And then we'll go for a little run. And then we'll pause. And we'll get all the little clicks out of the knees or out of my knees. I seem to be the only one who has this problem. No, I just need to start with them moving a little bit. And then as they start feeling a little bit more lubricated, you can really lift and maybe think of reaching through that heel. Lift and reach, trying to lengthen through the back of that leg. Lift and reach. And reach. Now I have to do some quick thinking here. Okay. So let's lift that right leg and leave it up there, and then we'll point and flex. So we're keeping the leg still and just moving from the ankle. And then make some circles from the ankle if you can. You could do this with your foot on the floor if you want. You don't have to hold it up. You know, you can keep it there. My foot doesn't, yeah. But try and make the ankle do the circling. I know if you've got your brace on, yeah. And let's see, let's spell out flower pot because we've got some flowers. I'm trying to make it longer. So flower pot. And then bring it in, give it a little shake. And then we'll try the left leg. Reach it out, point, and flex a few times. Yeah. And then make your circles, or your big O's. And switch directions if you haven't already. And we're going to write St. Patrick with this toe. And we will do the same next week. If I can spell it. And then when you're done with that, you can bring it down. Give both feet a little shake out. So now let's move our arms a little bit. So I'm going to sit up tall. So it's a little bit of brain, not a lot of brain, a little bit of brain. We're going to take the right hand to the left knee. I'm going to make a big rainbow up and over behind. So you can turn the chest to look at that hand and then come all the way back down. And then we're going to switch hands. So if you have recently recovered from surgery, you might have a little rainbow like that. So you can still move, you still want to move, just doesn't have to be as big. Yeah, very nice. And then up and over. And switch. Reaching up. And open. And up. And close. And switch. Open. And close. We'll do one more to each side. So right hand up. Oh, right hand up. The other right hand down. Because you're in the wrong place. You know, you're supposed to be over here. That's why. It's just thrown us all out. So since Kathleen's done that, let's bring one hand to opposite leg and then big circle like fireworks and then come down and then big circle and cross them over and lower them. And then once more, reaching up, like look at me. And sweep up and down. And just let those arms hang heavy. Move the shoulders around a little bit. So we do a little bit more arm work. So we've done this for a while. We're going to bring the hands up. We're going to push away like you're pushing a drawer closed or a door or just pushing someone out the way. Just push. So you can create your own little bit of tension here, right? So instead of it being like a floppy, but you can, with some tension, create that movement and push away and push and push. Let's do two more. So you can choose how much effort you're putting into this. And then we're going to push out to the side, like opening the doors dramatically. Like, yeah. You're making an entrance, or half an entrance, yes. Exactly, like the paparazzi. Open, move, make space. And once more. Yes, exactly. And then give them a little shake. So that was pushing. Now we're going to pull. So we'll start by imagine that we're helping Brian pull in his massive yacht. Okay, so we've got a rope and we're pulling it in. So you might think he's got a little dinghy, and so it's a little gentle pull, right? Little rope. Or you can make it really big by reaching and then pulling it back. So again, you decide how much work to make it. So don't make it so much work that tomorrow you're saying, oh, my arms and shoulders really ache, right? Moderate how it feels. Let's do one more each arm. Good. And then let's try pulling from the ceiling. So pulling down. So either maybe you're ringing bells, or you're in third grade and trying to climb the rope, whenever you have to do that. And pull once more. Ooh. And then relax the arms. Take a sip of water. Let's let the arms improve a little bit. How's everyone doing? Okay. Let's do some core work. So for those who've been away a while and might not remember, right, we're trying to pull in the core. So I was explaining last week, I was at a different class in another state, and the teacher had a different way of thinking about it. So I've been thinking about it again, and if you think of like having a big gem in your belly button, and you're trying to hold it in place, right, from all directions, you're trying to squeeze it in. That's one way of thinking about it, like pulling that belly button in from the side, from the bottom and up, and you might feel some tension in those muscles. Another way is just to think about these hip points squeezing together. So I like to do that on the exhale. So if you breathe in, as you breathe out, everything squeezes in. Or as you, like you're coughing, pulling everything in. So that's the movement we want, that pulling the muscles towards each other. So let's come back to our I Dream of Jeannie arms and come a little bit away from the back of the chair, not too far. Spine is staying nice and tall here, nice and straight. Hinge back, so find those sits bones and then rock back on the sits bones, and then use that exhale rather, to pull those muscles and help you come back up. Inhale back, exhale, pull it all forward. Good. So you don't have to come back very far, and you could do this whole thing without moving at all, just engaging those muscles. Let's do a few more. If that feels pretty good, you could maybe try it with your arms out. That might be a little more of a challenge. Yes, yeah. In my notes, I always call this zombie arms, yeah. Or it's like, give me a hug. Two more. Nice. And then relax. So that is something we should do every day. So we're going to add to that and do our little leg movement. I'm going to move all my stuff out of the way. So let's progress up to this and see how you feel. First way of doing it is to open and close the leg, sliding it on the floor, giving the floor a little polish. Second, if that feels okay and you want to add a little bit more, you can maybe lift it up over the Lego, stepping up and over the Lego. And if you're feeling really frisky, you could lift it up really high and then bring it down. But as you're doing that, we're trying to keep the body still, because we're trying to pull that core in to keep us still and not use our whole body to heave our leg around. So better to keep it a little smaller and in control than kind of move in and out of it. Good. So round about now, you might be feeling this muscle here working a little bit. So we'll do a few more because we want it to work, but we don't want it to hurt. But it does feel like effort, doesn't it? And I'm guessing if we, yeah, and then relax. Ooh. Let's try with the other leg. So we'll start with just a couple sliding open and close because we want to get that rotation. And that might be what feels good today. You can add that little stepping over the Lego if that feels good. And again, if you want a little bit more work, you can lift it up. Oh, that already, that's already an effort and over. Lifting up and down and up and down with control. So we don't want to lift it and then let it collapse down. And you might notice you're stronger on one side than the other. You know, our bodies have this way of betraying us sometimes. You know, we're not symmetrical. How many is that? Let's do one more. That's about right, yeah? One more. And then relax. Let's bring the legs nice and wide. Bring the hands to the knees and we'll drop one shoulder in. As you drop that shoulder in, you can push that leg a little bit away. Just a little bit. So it's a bit of a twist and a lengthen down the side, then come back to the center and the other side. Up and over. And over. Once more to each side. And come back up to the center. We'll keep our legs in this position and we'll stretch out the back of our shoulders, but we'll keep this goddess position. So we'll take that right arm out to the side. We're going to sweep it across and then catch it with the opposite arm. Oh, it feels good. You can turn your head over the right and let's lift our heels here. So we're going to hold it with our heels lifted. Feel those calf muscles working. And keep breathing. And smile. And lower the heels. Turn the head, relax the arm, move it around a little bit. And then we'll try the other side. Left arm out, sweep it across, hug it in. Let's lift the toes this time. Turning your head to the right. Oh, sorry, to your left, my right. Yeah. See, no one listens anyway. You bring it back in. Just turn your head. And let's bring the legs back in together. So we're going to add to that shoulder stretch. So just be careful here with what you do with your shoulder. So we'll come into a version of eagle arms. So if you were standing, you would be on one leg with the legs crossed. So if it's comfortable for you to cross your leg, go ahead and do that. But that can put a lot of strain on your hips. So we can just cross at the ankles or leave the feet on the floor, but whatever's comfortable. I'm going to bring the arms out. Then we'll bring the right arm underneath the left and cross at the elbows. Now, you can just give yourself a hug, or you can bring the arms up into your eagle arms or somewhere close to that. It's a big stretch. Ooh. So the trick is here, our shoulders are being pulled forward and stretching across the back. I'm sure you can feel that. So let's try, so we tried to counter that by thinking of widening the collarbone. So it seems counterintuitive, but we're going to try and widen the collarbone, lift the elbows a little bit. And then we'll try and lift the elbows and lift the chin and the chest like a little cat-cow. And as we exhale, take a fold forward. Do two more like that. So if this is too big a stretch, come back to giving yourself a hug. And then relax. Sweep the arms up. Fly, eagles, fly. They lost, didn't they? And then we'll switch to the other side. So yeah, crossing the leg or crossing the ankles, arms out. This time we'll bring the left arm underneath. And again, give yourself a hug. So there's lots of options. And I saw you all doing different options, which is great. So here, or here, or here, or maybe. And sometimes it's much easier on one side than the other, depending on your shoulder. So this seems Much more pleasant for me. So this time let's make little circles with our elbows, really small circles. And then switch directions. And then take a little forward fold. Keep breathing. Hold it there for a moment. And then release it and let everything come up. And then bring it down. So we haven't done this for a while. Since Brian's back, we will try this. But I haven't planned it in my head, just so you know. So, yeah, that's never a good thing, is it? So okay, so we're going to do patty cake. Well, we're going to try to do patty cake. So we'll start by coming across, and then out and down, okay? So across, out and down, across, out and down. So now we'll add in front of that. So that's how we'll end. We'll start with a tap of the head, a gentle tap, okay, not a smack. So tap, tap, across, in front and down. Again, tap, tap, across, in front and down. Now we're going to add at the beginning across to the opposite shoulder. Yes, that's deliberate. Across and shoulder, tap, same side, and across. In front and down. Shoulder, head, across, in front. A bit faster. Shoulder, head, across, in front. Focus, cross. That was sad. Let's do it once more. So we'll go medium speed, okay? So shoulder, head, across, in front. Once more. Shoulder, head, across, in front and down. Brilliant-ish. B plus, good effort. Yeah, it has to finish here for me. I can't do this and then add to it after it. Just the way it just doesn't work that way. Let's do a couple of sun salutations and then we'll have a little stretch of our legs. So start by sitting up nice and tall, right on top of those sits bones, back to that beginning position where our posture was so long and beautiful and our chins were a little bit tucked. And we'll inhale and lift up. Exhale and fold. Let everything hang heavy. Oh. Inhale halfway, lengthen that spine. And fold. Inhale, lift and reach the arms up. Exhale down through the center, taking a recovery breath here, in and out. Breathing in to lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale halfway, lengthen the spine, and fold. Inhale, lift and reach the arms up. Exhale down through the center, take a breath here, and out, relax the shoulders, and out. This time we'll breathe in, up, and then we'll come to our cactus arm. So keep the spine long and hinge forward. Then fold, let the spine round. Come up halfway, and fold. Inhale, lift and reach the arms all the way up. Back to the cactus, side bends, up and over. Keep the opposite side of your pelvis heavy on the chair. Let's do one more to each side. Up and over, and over. Back to the center, lower the arms. Lift the chin and chest, draw the elbows back. Exhale, tuck everything under the opposite way. Do that once more, lifting the chin and the chest, elbows back. Exhale, folding forward. Take an extra breath here. Next time you breathe in, lengthen the spine, bring the hands to the heart, take another breath, and breathe in to lift. Exhale to cactus. Hinging forward and fold. Lift halfway and fold. Inhale, lift and reach the arms up. Back to our cactus. This time we're going to take a twist. So pelvis stays still and we're going to twist to the right. So again, use the back of that shoulder to help pull you around. Back to the center, to the left. Use that left shoulder blade to help you move. Keep it small if you have a back problem. And once more to the left. Very nice. Bring the hands down. Lift the chin and the chest. Draw the elbows back. Then tuck the tail under, round the spine and fold forward. One more cat-cow. Lift the chin and the chest. Elbows come back. Shoulder blades draw together. Exhale, folding forward. Hands on the knees or forearms on the thighs and take a couple of breaths there. Slowly lengthen. Scoot forward a little bit on the chair. And, oops, not too far. And get your knee to work properly. And then bring that right leg out in front. So the heels on the floor and the toes pulling back towards the shin. So you might already feel a stretch in the back of your leg here. So that's great, just stay there. This other foot is flat and nicely on the floor. Hands to the thigh. Keep the spine nice and long. And then bring the chest forward. Now when you can't tilt the pelvis anymore, you can let that upper back and the shoulders relax. And let's slowly lengthen. Bring that leg in, give it a little shake, move it around. And then we'll try the left leg, so lengthening it out. Heel on the floor, pulling the toes back. Again, you may not need to go any further than this, and that is fine. Hinging forward. Slowly lengthen. Bring that leg in and let it move around. And we'll set up for our seated pigeon pose or figure of four pose. So my knee is not cooperating today. So if you're at home, you could put your foot on something, a block or a book or a little table, or maybe you can bring it all the way up. Wherever you are, that left foot is flat on the floor. Make sure the heel is underneath the knee so it's really stable. And we've been adding that little bit of work here. So no hands on the leg. We're trying to push that knee towards the floor and then relax it. Pushing it down. So a little bit of work for that hip. And the only reason I'm saying no hands is we don't want to push it down. We want muscles to do the work. So you can obviously have your hands here. Just let your hip do the working, and that's enough work. And then we'll hinge forward. Let that outer hip stretch out. I feel so every time I do this now, I have to let the like ligament or the tendon kind of roll over the bone. It's a really weird feeling. Like, you get it now. Sorry, I shouldn't complain. Oh, so you might get to a point where you feel a lot of resistance. So ease off a little bit and take a couple of breaths and focus on letting everything relax and release rather than trying to stretch it really hard like an elastic band. I like the little breath sound it makes, like quite relaxing. Yeah. And slowly unwind. Oh, I could stay there for a long time. And then move that around a little bit. And then let's try the other side. So remember, one hip is very different than the other. So maybe this one you have to keep low, or maybe this is the one you can bring high. But before we do anything, I'm going to do that little bit of work to try and strengthen this muscle by just pulling it down and then releasing it. Pull it down. And you might notice one side you've got a lot more control over. It feels stronger. Just a few times. And you might not even move. It might just be that you engage that muscle. And then we'll relax it. And let's bring the chest forward. Until you feel some resistance or tension, and then ease off a little bit. And then slowly lengthen. Unwind and move that around. And if there's anything you didn't do and you feel you need to do that before we hit Shavasana, you can take a few moments now if there's something needs to be stretched or moved. Otherwise, find a comfortable way to sit, preferably one that doesn't involve completely slouching down. So still with some support for that lower back, but we can rest against the chair. Bring the hands to the thighs, but let them come back so your arms are nice and heavy. And if you can close your eyes, you can go ahead and do that and let the chin drop. And as we mention each part of the body, focus there. And try to let that area soften and relax, starting with the forehead. And the cheekbones. The jaw. And the throat. And the back of the neck. Between the shoulder blades. Through the mid-spine, down to your waist. Feel the movement of your chest. And let the belly be soft. And notice any gentle movement there with each breath. Let the shoulders be heavy. Through the upper arms. The elbows are relaxed. Down through the lower arms and the wrists to your hands. Notice the heat from your hands. Down to your fingertips. Notice the back of your pelvis and legs on the chair, the weight of your hands on your thighs, through the knees, the heaviness of the lower legs, through the ankles. Feel the heat in your feet. And notice how your feet are touching the floor. Each time you exhale, imagine getting heavier. Sinking a little bit deeper into the chair and the floor as you breathe out. Now, rather than focusing on that exhale to make you heavier, focus a little more on the inhale. With each inhale, imagine yourself getting lighter, lifting up from the floor, lifting up from the chair. Drawing in all that oxygen and energy, breathing in. And then don't think about how you're breathing, just let it come back to its natural rhythm. And begin to make some small movements, wiggling your fingers and toes, circling the wrists and the ankles. Might feel good to take a big stretch. And then when you're ready, we'll sit up nice and tall with our perfect posture. Let's bring the hands to the heart. We'll take a deep breath in through the nose and let it out through the mouth. Can't hear that. 2 more times. Breathing in. Let it out. And once more. Thank you all for coming today. So happy to see our returning people looking good and healthy-ish. And hopefully see you again next week. Thank you all. We're always grateful to have this beautiful space. Thank you at home. You're such a good girl.